the cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession. Welcome to StarScope Report.
Where we uncover the drama behind the fame.
Mm-hmm.
From red carpet surprises
Yeah.
to the absolute grit of the gridiron.
Usually we're breaking down box office numbers or viral influencer scandals, but today we are looking at a script that is part financial thriller, part medical comeback story.
And part potential reunion drama.
Exactly. We are diving deep into a franchise that looked completely bankrupt, both morally and financially, and how one single signature might have just saved them from total ruin.
Plus, we've got the looming decision of Travis Kelce and a shocking release from Miami that has the internet absolutely losing its mind.
It is the most dramatic offseason in NFL history, and it hasn't even officially started yet.
No, it really hasn't.
So let's set the scene for you, because before we get to the money, we have to talk about the silence. Picture this. It's week 15 of the 2025 NFL season. You are in the stadium against the Los Angeles Chargers.
A division rival. It's late in the year. The stakes are already incredibly high.
Right. The air is cold, the tension is thick, and then nothing. Just silence. Absolute terrifying silence. Patrick Mahomes goes down.
Yeah.
And it isn't one of those plays where he, hops back up and limps to the huddle, shaking it off like he usually does.
No, this was totally different. His left leg was trapped in the turf. It was ugly.
The camera zoomed in, and you saw the grimace. The stadium went completely quiet. And that moment didn't just end a drive. It spiraled into what the sports data analysts are now calling the total collapse.
Which is pretty accurate.
Flash forward a few weeks to the end of the 2025 season. The Chiefs finish with a 6-11 record, a 6-game losing streak to close it out.
Think about that for a second. 6-11. For the first time since Mahomes took over as the starter, the Kansas City Chiefs were watching the playoffs from their couches.
Unbelievable.
It was a disaster on the field. Absolutely. I mean, Mahomes finished with career lows, just 3,587 yards and only 22 touchdowns.
Which, for any other quarterback, is a decent year. But for Mahomes, it's a catastrophe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what people didn't realize at that moment while they were mourning this season was that the disaster in the front office was actually worse.
Yeah.
The empire wasn't just fallen, it was effectively bankrupt.
The headlines weren't about Super Bowl parades anymore. They were about a dynasty crumbling under its own weight. I saw the initial reports from Over the Cap right after the season ended. It looked so grim.
Grim is being polite. They were projected to be between $50 million and $58 million over the salary cap.
Wow.
That isn't just tight budget territory.
Yeah.
That is completely paralyzing.
So translate that for the listener who isn't a forensic accountant. What does being $50 million over the cap actually mean for a team trying to fix a 6-11 record?
It means you are handcuffed. You cannot sign free agents. You can't trade for players. You can barely even sign your draft picks.
So you're just stuck.
Completely stuck. If they hadn't fixed it, the NFL would have eventually stepped in and started voiding contracts for them. The dynasty appeared to be officially dead because you cannot rebuild a losing team when you aren't allowed to spend a single dime.
It's like trying to renovate a house, but your credit cards are maxed out and the bank is threatening to foreclose.
That is a perfect analogy.
But then the plot twist. A Tuesday in February 2026, just when the credits were about to roll on the Chiefs dynasty, the leading man pulled a maneuver that shocked the accountants.
On February 18th, the news broke. Mahomes restructured his contract, and the number is staggering.
I've got the figure right here. They cleared $43.56 million in cap space. Instantly.
It's a massive number, and we really need to explain how this works because it sounds like magic. Or maybe money laundering.
Great.
But it's really just high-stakes accounting.
Please do, because every time I hear restructure, I think, oh, he took a pay cut to help the team. Did Mahomes actually lose money here? Is he playing for free to save the franchise?
No, and that's the most common misconception. Patrick Mahomes didn't lose a single cent. He is still getting his cash, about $56.75 million in payout for 2026.
Okay.
What the Chiefs did was convert $54.45 million of his salary and roster bonus into a signing bonus.
Walk us through those mechanics. Why does calling it a bonus change anything? Money is money, right? If I give you $20, it's $20.
To your bank account, yes. But to the NFL salary cap, there are two very different things. A base salary hits the cap this year. It's immediate pain.
Got it.
A signing bonus, however, can be spread out, prorated, over the remaining life of the contract, up to 5 years.
So instead of taking a massive $78.2 million cap hit on the chin in 2026.
They take that $54 million chunk, divided by 5, and spread it out across 2026, 2027, 2028, and so on. It dropped his cap number for this season all the way down to $34.65 million.
Essentially using a credit card to pay off a credit card bill.
Precisely. It's general manager Brett Veach's easy button. It solves the immediate problem. But, and here's where it gets fascinating, it creates a much bigger problem later.
There's always a catch. You can't just make money disappear.
Always. By pushing that money forward, they didn't make it vanish. They just kicked the can down the road. Mahomes' cap hit in 2027 is now astronomical. It's projected to be over $85 million.
$85 million. For one player, that's nearly a third of the total cap.
It's an unprecedented figure. It effectively guarantees that they will have to do this all over again or negotiate a massive contract extension by 2028. They are borrowing from the future to keep the window open right now.
Okay, let's pause right here. They cleared $43 million. That sounds like a lot of shopping money. They're rich now, right? They can go buy whoever they want.
You would think so.
Yeah.
But here is the wildest part of this deep dive. Even after clearing $43 million, the Kansas City Chiefs are still broke.
Wait, detailed sources say they are still in the red?
Yes. They started so far in the hole. Remember that minus $55 million figure so that even this historic move leaves them roughly $11 million over the cap.
That is insane.
They aren't even compliant yet, let alone ready to go shopping.
So they saved the franchise from total disaster, but they're still technically underwater.
Correct. And that's terrifying because look at the roster. They went 6-11. They have holes everywhere. And they have 30 pending free agents. 30. The roster is being gutted.
Okay, let's talk about who those free agents are, because this is where the drama really kicks in. We have the money, or at least the potential for money, if they make more moves. Who are they actually trying to save?
Well, the emotional core of this entire offseason is Travis Kelce.
The narrative there is huge. Will he retire? Will he play one more year?
The insiders seem to think that this specific move by Mahomes clearing this much space is a signal. It's the only way they could afford to offer Kelce a last-run contract.
Right.
If they were still $50 million over the cap, Kelce retires. Period. Now, there's a path.
So Mahomes clears the space to maybe bring his best friend back for a farewell tour. I love that. But there's another name floating around that feels explosive.
You're talking about Tuesday, February 17th.
The day before the Mahomes restructure, the Miami Dolphins released Tyreek Hill.
The timing is incredibly suspicious, isn't it?
It feels scripted, like the writers' room got together and said, how do we make this spicier?
Tyreek Hill spent his first 6 seasons in Kansas City. He was the cheetah. He defined that offense just as much as Kelce did in the early years. And honestly, watching him leave for Miami was the first crack in the foundation.
And he's a free agent. And suddenly, 24 hours later, the Chiefs are moving heaven and earth to create cap space. The internet is buzzing about a reunion.
It makes sense on paper. The Chiefs' wide receiver room has been a glaring weakness for 2 years. They need explosive plays. But remember, Hill is older now. He's been released. He's not the same 25-year-old sprinter.
But the connection with Mahomes, that doesn't just go away.
No, it doesn't. And if you're Mahomes sitting there rehabilitating a torn ACL, who do you want running routes for you? A rookie who might run the wrong way? Or the guy who knows exactly where you're going to throw the ball before you even snap it?
Exactly. It feels like a movie script. The broken team, the injured quarterback, the old legends coming back for one last job. But we can't just focus on the stars. You mentioned 30 free agents. Who are the guys they actually need to keep to play football games?
This is where the rubber meets the road. It's not as sexy as Tyreek Hill, but they have to re-sign Brian Cook.
The safety.
Yes, he's coming off a breakout year. Pro Football Focus gave him an 83.5 grade. In a defense that struggled, he was a bright spot. Priority number 1 has to be locking him down.
Who else? Because looking at the depth chart, the cupboard is bare.
The backfield is literally empty. Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt are both free agents. Without them, you have no running game to support a quarterback coming off knee surgery.
That's a crucial point. You can't ask Mahomes to throw 50 times a game on a reconstructed knee.
Exactly. You need to hand the ball off. You need protection. And then there's a name that might surprise you, Tyquan Thornton.
Really, he hasn't exactly been a headline grabber.
He flashed potential. When the main options were struggling last year, he emerged as someone Mahomes could actually trust. In a season of lows, finding a reliable target is gold. They need to bring him back for depth.
So bringing the band back together sounds great. We want Kelce, we want Tyreek, we want the defense. But if they are still $11 million over the cap, they can't sign any of these guys yet. They have to cut people.
And this is the ugly side of the business. To create the room to even sign their draft class, let alone Tyreek Hill, heads have to roll.
Before we get into who is on the chopping block, if you're loving these Hollywood-level twists in the NFL, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead as free agency opens in March.
And free agency is going to be wild.
Okay, so they cleared $43 million and they still need more. Who gets cut?
Well, the biggest lever left to pull involves Chris Jones.
The defensive tackle?
Yeah.
But he's their best defender. You can't cut him.
No, you don't cut him. You restructure him. He has a massive cap hit. If they do to him what they did to Mahomes, convert salary to bonus, they could free up another $22 million or so. That finally gets them into the green.
Okay, so restructuring Jones gets us to break even. But we still need shopping money. Who actually gets cut?
The most likely casualty is Jawan Taylor, the right tackle.
Oof. Cutting a tackle when your QB just got his knee destroyed. That seems
It
reckless.
sounds counterintuitive, I agree. But look at the numbers. Cutting Taylor would save nearly $20 million. He's expensive, and his performance hasn't matched the price tag recently. They might decide they can draft a replacement or find a cheaper veteran.
That is a huge gamble. If you cut him and the rookie you draft isn't ready, Mahomes is going to get hit again.
It is a gamble. They're also looking at guys like Mike Dana and Drew Tranquill. Solid players, good leaders, but cutting them saves about $8 to $14 million combined. When you are desperate, solid players become luxuries you can't afford.
It really feels like they are stripping the engine to pay for the paint job.
I wouldn't go that far,
Yeah.
but they are definitely concentrating their resources. They are betting everything on the stars, Mahomes, Jones, maybe Kelce or Hill, and hoping they can patch the rest of the roster together with duct tape and rookie contracts.
And that's not even the wildest part. I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the 2027 problem. You said Mahomes' cap hit jumps to $85 million. How is that even sustainable? Are we just going to see this happen every single February?
In short, yes, but there is a method to the madness. Remember that 10-year contract Mahomes signed back in 2020?
The $500 million deal, I remember everyone losing their minds over the total number.
Right. At the time, people thought it was crazy money, but it was brilliant structural engineering. Because it's so long, 10 years, it acts as a rolling guarantee.
Explain that concept. What is a rolling guarantee?
It means the Chiefs have endless flexibility. Think about quarterbacks like Dak Prescott or Joe Burrow. They sign 4 or 5 year deals. If you restructure those, you run out of years to push the money into really fast. You hit a wall where the contract ends.
Okay, so you can't spread the debt if there are no years left on the loan?
Exactly. But with Mahomes, because the deal goes until 2031, they can keep pushing money 5 years out, over and over again. Every year they convert salary to bonus. They utilize those later years.
So they can just kick the can forever.
Until he retires, essentially, or until his performance falls off a cliff. It's why you don't see other teams having this same level of flexibility. Mahomes gave the Chiefs a decade-long cheat code.
That's wild. It's like they're playing a completely different game than everyone else. But here's the thing that gets me. We're talking about cap space and restructures and signing bonuses, but at the center of this is a human being.
A human being who just had his knee rebuilt.
Right. Mahomes is trying to save the franchise twice. Once on the operating table trying to get back for week 1, and once in the boardroom restructuring his millions to build a team.
That is the biggest risk here. The Chiefs are pushing all this money into the future, betting the farm on 2026, 2027, 2028, based on the assumption that a 30-year-old quarterback coming off a major ACL and LCL tear can return to MVP form.
If he comes back and he's just okay, or if he loses that mobility, that makes him special.
Then this financial strategy becomes a total nightmare. You are paying $85 million against the cap for a player who isn't delivering $85 million worth of value. That is how franchises go dark for a decade. It's exactly what happened to the Saints at the end of the Drew Brees era.
It's high-stakes poker.
It really is. And frankly, looking at the sources, the Chiefs didn't have a choice. They went 6-11. They missed the playoffs. The fan base was panicking. They couldn't just sit there and say, well, we'll try again in 2 years when the money is better. They had to push the chips in now.
It's the cost of greatness, I guess. You don't get to rebuild slowly when you have Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. You reload, even if it means maxing out the credit card.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Why should you care about salary cap math? Why does this matter beyond Kansas City?
Because this is the blueprint for how modern dynasties try to survive their own success. You win, players get expensive, you have to get creative. The Chiefs were dead in the water. Mahomes gave them a lifeline of $43 million. Now they have to navigate a minefield of 30 free agents, a potential Kelce retirement, and the lure of Tyreek Hill, all while still being technically over the cap.
It's a masterclass in management or a desperate scramble, depending on how you look at it.
Or maybe a bit of both. But keep an eye on that offensive line. I can't stress this enough. If they cut Jawan Taylor and don't replace him with high quality, it doesn't matter if they have Tyreek Hill. Mahomes won't have time to throw the ball.
Especially not on a healing knee.
Precisely. That is the tension. Flashy skill players sell jerseys and get headlines. Offensive linemen keep your $450 million investment alive.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. We've talked about the money, the injury, the players, but think about the pressure. The Chiefs are betting the house, literally leveraging their future on 2026 being a redemption tour. But with an aging roster, a recovering quarterback, and a salary cap credit card bill that is due in 2027, is this the start of a new chapter, or is this the desperate final scene of a dying dynasty?
That is the question that will define the next decade of the NFL.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.
It's going to be a wild march.
We'll catch you on the next one.